All right, so every once in a while, I see a deal, or Caleb sees a deal, or someone I know sees a deal on Facebook Marketplace that's so good that I just can't pass it up. And that was this. This is my bike. I bought this for myself for one of my ridiculous high mileage motorcycle collections. And it's a 2005 Yamaha FJR1300, and it's got 114,000 miles on it. And it runs pretty awesome. I haven't actually ridden it yet. I'm assuming it runs awesome. This episode is sponsored by Rockform. It is one of the best motorcycle phone mounts I've ever seen. Bam. Just clip your phone in there. It's not going anywhere. No things hanging on the side of it or grabbing it or getting in the way of the buttons or touching it. It's probably the cleanest look. So normally if this bike had 30,000 miles, it'd be worth about $6,000, maybe $59.99. If it had 60,000 miles, it might be worth like $45,000 to $5,000. With 114,000 miles on it, I paid $1,200 for it. You gotta admit, I mean, for $1,200, how can you pass that thing up? It's actually the first time I'm actually getting a look at it. That back tire is junk. It is Michelin's. This is just the truth. With motorcycles, not so much, but a little bit, but definitely with cars. If you see a vehicle and they've got Michelin's on it, you can assume that they took good care of it because Michelin's are more expensive tires. That tire is pretty much junk. I gotta replace that. I don't know what this is, but that is clear coated on there, and I don't know, whatever. Is that a wrap? I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know, Thunder Road, I don't know what that is, but it's a West Virginia thing, I guess. Yeah, you know, it's 100,000 miles. It's got a little bit of damages on it. It's been down a couple times right there. It's got a big sticker that's, of course, it's blocking a big crack inside the bearing. Classic. Right here, that bolt doesn't match there, anything. Why is that in there? It was leaking something when we had it parked inside the shop. I saw a couple drips of oil, but I don't see anything now. Front tire's got a little bit of cupping, whatever. Now this windshield, you can see that the whole windshield, I think it was like a completely custom-made windshield because everything about it, all the edges was completely cut. So I think the guy got some Lexan, some tinted Lexan, and then made the whole thing himself. It's actually fairly impressive looking. If I were gonna do it, I would make it this tall. You know, if you're gonna make your own windshield, make it stupid. Same thing over here. It's got some scratches down here. It's actually a pretty nice looking bike for $1,200. That's really hard to beat. Let's go take it for a spin. Now, what kind of plans do I have for this bike? Well, I got big plans. I wanna see the world, do an iron butt. You know, I mean, I got big plans. I won't do any of them. It'll probably end up sitting next to my Kawasaki Concourse that I also bought for cheap with 120,000 miles. That I've never actually ridden that motorcycle. So at least I did a test drive of this one. I got big plans, but no time to do it. Let's take it for a spin. All right, guys, let's do the words of wisdom. Psalms 103:13. Just as the Father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. I can't wait to take this bike for a spin. Now, I'm pretty sure this bike needs new tires. This is one new tire, but it should be fine for a test drive. I like this style of bike. This is the sport touring. Now, of course, everyone raises the handlebars, little raisers right there. Get them a little closer to you. You can't go even bigger. It's just the most comfortable, like 1,000% the most comfortable thing out there. And sporty. So it really is. If there was anything that you're like, well, I want the best of all the worlds, best of both worlds, but both being like 5 different worlds, this has most of them. It's sporty. You can take it. It's very sporty. It handles very well. It's fast. It's comfortable. Long trips, short trips. It's not very heavy. It's got everything. But what it doesn't have is you can't really take it off-road. That's where like the BMW GS, you know, has that ability. It's not going to be as fast, not as sporty, but still very extremely capable in the hands of the right motorcycle rider. It's very easy to look at these bikes and just be like, old man bike, that bike for old man, you are old, and then until you ride it, you know. But you're right, the color, the way they paint them and the way they make them look, they do make them look like old guy bikes. They're not. If I were to get this thing painted or wrapped, I would make it look like an R1, but it would look like an R13, because I think these things are super cool bikes. But why can't they look like sport bikes? Why can't they look like mean, fast, super wicked? Look at this. That goes up and down. How awesome is that? Any bike that's got a gauge that goes up to 180 miles an hour, is it really that much of an old man bike? Or just young men realizing that, hey, I can be comfortable and go fast and put someone on the back and do 1,000 miles a day? That's what I think's going on. Now, I was informed a couple years ago. I was like, why are they making these motorcycles? Why are they making these sport touring old man motorcycles that are so powerful? 200 horsepower, you know, like incredibly powerful. I mean, think about this, the sport touring bikes that are out there. The Kawasaki Concourse, the Honda FJR1300, the Kawasaki H2 SX. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of the BMW K1600, all these like incredibly fast, powerful motorcycles, and like just for touring. You know what I mean? And then someone explained it to me, and they're like, in Europe. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, no, hear me out. I'm like, all right. In Europe, the sport touring like craze is all about going as fast as you can for as far as you can. So you might jump on the Autobahn. You might jump on the Autobahn and just start crushing a $150 for as many miles and just to drain your tank. That's pretty cool. And then everything makes sense. It makes sense that you would make a motorcycle that can cruise at those speeds and hide faster, but not just go those speeds, but cruise those speeds. You know what I mean? It makes sense that these mirrors are strategically placed to block your hands from a bug hitting you at 180 miles an hour. That would blow up your fist. That's what those mirrors are for. You know, I mean, everything's kind of set up that way. You know, you're kind of tucked into the bike, and so when you look at it that way, life makes a little more sense. And we need some roads in America that have no speed limits. I think there are some out west. There are some that just no one cares because no one's there. Like 283 and 222. All right, guys, let's do a 0 to 60. There. I don't think I needed the shift. I could have done it faster. I think first gear would have taken me there. I really screwed that one up. My helmet smells like vomit. No, it's outside. It's gross. And then you got this aspect of the motorcycle, just touring. If you were on a big trip, if you were like, you know what, I'm gonna crush 1,000 miles in one day, it'd be this bike or Goldwing. But I'd rather do this bike. It just does it so well. Look, I'm in 6th gear, right? Or whatever top gear is. I'm in top gear. I'm going speed limit. This thing is basically idling over here. You almost can't even hear the engine. I got plenty of power. I can pass anyone at will. And if I want a little more protection, put that visor up. I like it down though. I'm gonna put it back down. I think someone custom made that visor. Like, he took some plexiglass, cut the whole thing to where he wanted it to be. I should do that. I should make a huge visor that's this big. That'd be awesome. Alright, so I got big plans for this motorcycle. I won't do any of them, but I still got, a man could dream, right?